alaikum dear viewers, and welcome to our Learn Arabic show. Right, so in the previous sessions we had been discussing about the nominative case. Now today we will be discussing about the accusative cases. Okay, so you know accusative case is where the word carries a fatha or could be fathatain, right? So we have 13 of these accusative cases. We have 13, right? So the first case which we'll be looking at is al-maf'ulu bihi. Okay. Now, when I will give you the example, that's when you will actually understand what maf'ulu bihi is. Of course, we have the fa'il, then we have the maf'ul, right? So we have kataba al-waladu ad-dars, right? So the sentence is kataba al-waladu ad-dars, right? So kataba, you all know it is a 3-root verb. And which fi'l does it fall in? Is it fi'l al-madhi, fi'l al-mudari, fi'l al-amr, fi'l al-nahyu? Which one? It falls under fi'l al-madhi. So this is the past tense. I hope you remember the past tenses. Kataba, dhahaba, qara'a, akala. You remember them, right? So kataba, he wrote. Who wrote? The boy. Okay, so what is the subject of my sentence? The subject of my sentence here is the boy. So the boy is my ism, right? But since we are discussing about the accusative case, meaning the case where you will find that the word has a fatha, so we are talking about ad-dars, right? Now ad-dars here, the lesson. Ad-dars here is my maf'ul, maf'ulu bihi. Now, what do I mean by maf'ulu bihi? First of all, we need to recall what is fa'il, to know what is maf'ul. The fa'il is the doer of the action, right? So who is the doer of the action here? The doer of the action is the boy. The boy wrote the lesson, meaning that boy is the doer, right? So boy here is al-waladu is my fa'il. So the fa'il here is waladu. Right? But the boy wrote what? The boy wrote the lesson. So the lesson here becomes my maf'ulu bihi. So the ad-dars becomes my maf'ulu. Ad-dars becomes my maf'ulu bihi, right? So this maf'ulu bihi is that thing, that object in the sentence which is acted upon. Okay? It is the, what you call, it's the word, okay, the object which is being acted upon, right? So the boy wrote the lesson, meaning the lesson is being wrote. The action is being done about the lesson. So the lesson here becomes maf'ulu bihi. The doer of this action, my fa'il, is the boy. So fa'il is the waladu, and the maf'ul is الدرس, right? So مفعول will always carry what you call an accusative case. Now remember in the beginning sessions I had discussed about the what you call the structure of the sentence, structure of simple sentences using the verb. Remember we had verb plus subject plus object. We had this, right? Verb plus subject plus object. That's exactly simply what applies here. My verb, this is my verb. This is my subject. This is my object. What did I say about the subject? The subject in a structure of a sentence looking like this, the subject will always carry a nominative. The object, on the other hand, will carry an accusative. But this object now, because that was in the beginning stage, I did not want to bring in the maf'ul bihi, but now since you're moving on to advanced, this object here is called the maf'ul bihi. It is the object which is being acted upon, right? So the fa'il is al-waladu, which is the subject of my sentence, always will carry nominative. Remember, when we were looking about the nominative cases, we had said that one of the nominative cases was what? Was that the subject of the sentence will always carry nominative sign. But when we look at the structure of sentence like this, verb plus subject plus object, we notice that the object will always carry a fatha. Now we look at another example. So this was the boy wrote the lesson. So the other case, the second case that we have here, example, is قرأت البنت الجريدة. You know what jaridata means? Jaridata means newspaper. Okay? So قرأت البنت الجريدة, meaning the girl read. قرأت. Remember when we were discussing about the verbs? قرأت, is it past tense? Is it present tense? Is it future tense? Is it command tense? Is it prohibitive command? What tense is قرأت? It is past tense. Uliopita, right? So قرأت, meaning she read. But who read? Al-bintu, the girl. Okay? So here again we notice the structure of the sentence. Verb, subject, object. But what is my object? My object is maf'ulu bihi. What is my subject? My subject is fa'il. What tense is this? This tense is fi'lul madhi, meaning past tense. Right? So we have the fi'lul madhi, the verb, the fa'il, the subject or the doer, and we finally have the object is the maf'ulu bihi. So if I translate the sentence, the girl read the newspaper. So the newspaper is the object. The newspaper is maf'ulu bihi. So the action is being done. What action is being done? Reading. The action is being done on what? The action is being done on the newspaper. She is reading the newspaper, meaning the action is being done on the newspaper. So because the action is being done on that object you will call it the maf'ulu bihi. You notice one thing, maf'ul comes from fi'l. Maf'ul comes from fi'l. Fi'l means verb, right? Fi'l is verb. But maf'ul is the one on which the verb is done, is the one on which the action is done. So maf'ul comes from fi'l. Fi'l is verb. Maf'ul is the one on which the action is being done, right? So this is the maf'ul. Again, here will carry accusative, because since we're discussing about the accusative. Accusative, in some cases you will find accusative can also be a fathatain. It is not really limited to just a single fatha, so you can find cases where it's a fathatain. You can look up on that. But since we're discussing about the accusative cases, just notice the object of the sentence, the maf'ul bihi, which will carry, of course, an accusative case. Now we will move on to the second case. So the first case was the maf'ulu bihi. So we will move on now to the second case. So the second case we have is al-maf'ulu lahu. Right, so that was al-maf'ulu bihi, meaning the action being done on that verb. Now, we will look at examples of maf'ulu lahu so you will understand what it actually means. So, the first sentence we have here is qatala hamidu قاتل حامد شجاعة. So Hamid is definitely smart here. Okay, meaning Hamid fought courageously, شجاعة, right? So قاتل is, what is the fi'l al-madhi we have here is قاتل. قاتل is my fi'l al-madhi, to fight someone. قاتل, right? So this is my verb, which is the fi'l al-madhi. Okay, then we have حامد. قاتل حامد شجاعة. Who am I talking about? Hamid. Who is Hamid? Subject. What is subject? Ism. What is he doing? He is fighting courageously. So Hamid is the doer of the action. So Hamid is my fa'il. So this is my fa'il. شجاعة. شجاعة meaning courageously. So this is now my maf'ul, but it is my maf'ulu not bihi, it is my maf'ulu lahu, courageously. Right? Now, lahu is like, for something, okay? It's like for, for example, lucky, for you, laka, okay? This is more like for it. But if you were going to try to explain it in this kind of sentence, courageously, meaning he fought courageously. It's more like explaining the verb. So he fought courageously, okay? So this is more like an adverb. Okay, if that makes it easy to remember, maf'ulu lahu acts more like an adverb, meaning it's explaining how the verb is being done. What action is being done? Killing, fighting, right? So the action being done here is fighting. But how is this fighting being done? The fighting is being done courageously, okay? So because it's being this courageously is explaining the verb. How is the verb actually occurring, right? So this acts more like an adverb, trying to explain the verb. So we call this the maf'ulu lahu, right? We will look at another example, so it's easier to understand. And of course, shuja'atan, it carried an accusative tanween. We said qatala hamidu shuja'atan. Okay, so that maf'ulu lahu carried an accusative tanween sign. So we have another example here which says fatahtu. If you remember all your tenses, it's very easy for you to translate. Fatahtu al-babu tahwiya. And also these new vocabularies that you're getting, try and jotting them down somewhere. So it just improves your, your Arabic. Okay? So, fatahtu al-babu tahwiya. Meaning what? Meaning I opened the door for ventilation. So what is my verb? Sorry, it's fatahtu. Meaning I opened. Fatahtu comes from the root verb, just a recall, comes from the root verb fataha. Fataha, he opened. Fatahtu, I opened. Okay? So this is my verb. Al-bab. Al-bab here is the subject of my sentence, right? So this is the subject. Now here, I cannot say al-bab is the door. Can the door open on its own and I can say the door is the doer of the action? No, the doer of the action here is me. I opened the door, but of course it's hidden. The door is kind of hidden in this verb. Because when I say fatahtu, it refers to I opened the door because it makes it more obvious because of the addition which is done at the end to that represents I for fi'lul madhi, for the past tense. So I cannot say the door is the doer or the fa'il of the action. I can only say it's the subject of the sentence if we're talking about the door. So al-bab is the subject. Now tahwiya. Tahwiya means ventilation. Now, the whole translation, I opened the door. I opened the door for ventilation. Right? So, for, lahu, for it. Lahu means for it. Okay, so that here again applies here. I opened the door for it. What is that it? The ventilation. Ventilation is carrying what case? Ventilation has accusative tanween. This is my maf'ulu. Maf'ulu what? Maf'ulu bihi? No, maf'ulu lahu. Right? So in the first example, we had looked at qatala hamidu shuja'atan. So lahu can be used to explain the action, to explain the verb that's happening. Hamid fought courageously, okay? Or it can also be used to explain a reason. Why did I open the door? I opened the door for ventilation. Lahu, for it, for ventilation. So ventilation will carry an accusative tanween that I have right there. Okay? Now, just one last case because we are running out of time. We cannot obviously complete all the 13 cases. So, we'll just be looking at one last case here. And that will sum up our class for today. So, we have al-maf'ulu fihi. Okay, so the first we looked at al-maf'ulu bihi, the object that is being acted upon. For example, the girl read the newspaper. Newspaper is the maf'ulu bihi. Then we saw maf'ulu lahu is the word that's actually trying to explain the action being done, acts more like an adverb. For example, we saw courageously. Hamid fought courageously. So that is the maf'ulu lahu. Now we have al-maf'ulu fihi. So we look at the example. We have طار الغراب فوق شجرة. Right? So طار الغراب فوق الشجرة. طار comes from طائر. طائر means bird. طار means flew. What flew? The crow. Okay? So the crow flew over the tree. Right? So when we were looking at prepositions, we had ala, we had fi, we had tahta, we had fawqa. Fawqa means over. So you notice in a sentence, these what you call maf'ulu fihi, they will always have a fatha. Now, why is this a maf'ulu fihi? What has this preposition got to do with the maf'ul, got to do with the fi'l? What has this, how is this connected to the action being done? What action is being done? Flew. What flew? The crow flew, right? So how is this connected? Because the crow flew over the tree. Okay, so it's trying to explain exactly how the crow flew. That's how it is actually connected to this verb. How the crow flew, it flew over the tree. So because it is trying to explain us how this verb is happening. The crow can also fly under the tree, but the crow flew over the tree. So this is explaining the action being done. Because it's explaining the action being done, flying, therefore this carries accusative case. So this is my maf'ulu fihi. One last example and we get done with this. We have لعبت تحت الشجرة. Right? And of course, another thing to notice, this object here, it comes after the verb. So again, this will always carry a kasra. You can't say it will carry a fatha or fathatain. That is wrong because it comes after a preposition. And of course, in this case, the preposition is the maf'ulu fihi. Whether the preposition is a maf'ulu fihi or whether it does not act as a maf'ulu fihi, whether it does not explain an action being happening. For example, if I say the cat is under the chair. Okay, the cat is sitting under the chair. Of course, that also acts as a maf'ulu fihi because it's explaining exactly where the cat is sitting, right? So this, of course, if any object, I have said this a million times, if any object comes after a preposition, in now you're more advanced. So even if it comes after maf'ulu fihi, always having a kasra. Same here. لعبت تحت الشجرة. لعبت is tense. What tense is it? Past tense, present tense, future, command, prohibitive command. This is past tense, فعل الماضي. لعبت meaning I played. Where did I play? تحت, under the tree. Okay? So لعبت تحت الشجرة. I played under the tree. تحت is my maf'ulu. Is my maf'ulu fihi. Okay? And here فوق is my مفعول فيه. Here تحت is my مفعول فيه, both having accusative. Here also we have accusative. لعبت, of course, meaning I played. Under the tree, why is this what you call genitive? It is because it comes after a preposition. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين. We will be continuing with the other cases of the accusative. As you know, we have 13 of these cases, which will be continuing in our next session. Thanks for listening and have a nice day.